Be honest, did last month just disappear? It isn't time speeding up, it's your brain compressing your life. Fix this and your days feel longer. Ignore it and whole years blur. I'll show you the switch. Stay. The color of the walls, the sound of the TV, even how the room felt. So why does childhood feel so vivid, while recent years blur together? This isn't nostalgia playing tricks on you. There's a real reason your brain treats childhood memories differently. When we're children, almost everything is new. Our brain isn't just living life. It's paying attention. The first day of school. The first friend you ever made. The first time you felt embarrassed. The first time you felt proud. First experiences hit the brain harder, and strong reactions create strong memories. The brain doesn't remember time evenly. It remembers change. When you're a child, your world is full of it. New places, new rules, new emotions, new discoveries. Every day feels different. But as adults, life becomes repetitive. Same roads, same routines, same responsibilities. When days feel similar, your brain stops saving details. Not because you're failing to remember, but because your brain decides those details aren't worth storing. And this leads to something important. Your brain doesn't measure time by clocks. It measures time by memories. The more memories you create, the longer a period feels when you look back on it. That's why childhood feels long, and adulthood feels fast. Time doesn't speed up. Your memories slow down. Emotion plays a huge role here too. Childhood memories are often tied to strong feelings. Joy, fear, excitement, curiosity. Emotion acts like a highlighter for the brain. The stronger the emotion, the brighter the memory. As we transition into adulthood, the landscape of our emotional lives begins to change. The soaring highs and crushing lows of youth become less frequent. Life settles into a rhythm, governed by routines and responsibilities. The daily commute, the weekly schedule, the predictable cycle of work and rest. This structure brings a sense of control, but it also sands down the sharp edges of experience, making each day feel more and more like the one before. In this new, more predictable world, our memories of the past also begin to lose their intensity. The visceral, all-consuming feelings of a first heartbreak or a triumphant win soften over time. They become less like vivid, immediate sensations and more like stories we tell ourselves, familiar tales with well-worn plots. But there's something else happening beneath the surface, a fascinating process that shapes not just our memories, but our very identity. You see, your childhood memories aren't stored like pristine video recordings in a vault. They aren't perfect, unchanging files you can simply play back. Instead, they are actively reconstructed every single time you remember them. Each recall is an act of creation. Your brain, like a masterful storyteller, takes the key fragments it has stored, the emotional core, the sensory details, and weaves them into a coherent narrative. It fills in the gaps with plausible details, smooths over the rough, awkward edges, and often edits out the boring parts entirely. The long, uneventful car ride is forgotten, but the thrill of arriving at the beach is amplified. Over time, this reconstruction process means our memories become more meaningful and symbolic, but not necessarily more accurate. They are polished into the stories that define who we are. What feels vivid in our memory isn't always a perfect recording of what actually happened. Instead, it's a highlight reel, curated by your brain. It's what your mind, acting as a director, decided was important enough to keep. This selection process isn't random. It's driven by emotion and novelty. Think of your memory not as a video camera, but as a storyteller. With each recall, the story is subtly rewritten. Details might be sharpened, emotions amplified, and irrelevant bits edited out. This is why the memory of your first bike ride feels so crystal clear, while last Tuesday's lunch is already a blur. The bike ride was a story worth telling. Another reason childhood memories feel so distinct is how often we replay them. You've probably thought about your core childhood stories hundreds of times. You've told them to new friends, partners, and maybe even your own children. You've compared your present self to the person in those memories, using them as a benchmark for your life's journey. Neurologically, every time you access a memory, you aren't just passively viewing it. You are actively reconstructing it. This process strengthens the neural pathways associated with that memory, making it easier and quicker to access the next time. It's like walking the same path in a forest over and over. Eventually, it becomes a well-worn trail. Your more recent everyday memories haven't had that chance yet. They are new, untrodden paths, waiting to see if they're important enough to be revisited. There's also identity. Your childhood is when your sense of self was forming. That's when you learned who you are, what scares you, what excites you, what feels safe. Memories tied to identity are harder to forget, because forgetting them would mean forgetting a part of yourself. So why do recent years feel blurry? Because your brain is efficient. If today feels like yesterday, your brain compresses them into one. That's why years can pass quickly without leaving many clear memories behind. But here's the good news. This isn't permanent. You can slow time down again. Not by changing the clock, but by changing your experiences. Novelty creates memory, learning something new, breaking routines, going somewhere unfamiliar, doing things that scare you a little. These force your brain to pay attention again, and attention is the gateway to memory. This is why a year packed with change, with new places and new faces, feels so long and substantial when we look back. Each day is a distinct entry in our mental logbook, but a year of comfortable routine, of the same drive to work and the same tasks, can vanish in a blink. The days compress, becoming a single, blurry memory because there's nothing new to distinguish them. This brings us back to childhood. It doesn't feel so vivid just because it was a simpler or better time. In fact, it was often filled with confusion and challenges. It feels vivid because almost everything was new. The first day of school, the first best friend, the first scraped knee. Each experience was a landmark event. Your brain was fully awake, operating in high definition. It wasn't just passively recording. It was actively constructing your map of the world, paying close attention to every detail because it had no existing template to rely on. The good news is, this isn't a state that's lost to the past. You can reignite that same neurological richness. The more novelty you consciously bring back into your adult life, the more you break from routine and seek out fresh experiences, the more vivid your present can become too. If you've ever had a question like this pop into your head late at night, share it in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring everyday mysteries, subscribe to Late Night Questions.